timeout coming in for KC.
have one kill each.
Yeah, I mean, we got towards this point. I think it was on the last map. We were at 1 and 12 between the two players that sat at the bottom, so it wasn't good. That's just unfortunate on the timing as well. Right idea to pull it out, I think, but just did not expect that swing to come in from A main. He does not look happy.
It's the duality of life, isn't it? You have ups and downs, and you can see that Salah's definitely on the up right now. It's finally going to be a pause. It's something we mentioned already. Try and sort of stem the bleeding, but that's what this is. This is internal bleeding at this point. I don't know how they're actually going to stop this, because I don't think that Vitality are reinventing the wheel. Most of the time, they're just going for set executes as a team. Utility's been strong, but that's sort of the surprising thing is, again, they're running a comp that basically has one flash. That one flash is being utilized to just set up multi and twist end. They're getting the openers and the round ends. I have to feel like there needs to be more. Again, either play for those retakes, have aggression on one side, and then play for the retake and work as a team. Because right now, it is literally just, okay, if our site hold fails, we lose.
On the blue wall, looking a little bit blue, understandably. It's not gone the way that they were hoping for. Let's see then if after that other timeout comes through, if we can see things turned around.
Careful.
Maybe not quite. I mean, after the previous one, we did see at least something come on side, right? We did see them bounce back for the one round, but that's the problem. It's just the one round.
They're going A again. I wouldn't even be surprised if this is exactly the same execution. Now, I do like the XMS is just playing that a little bit more passive, just trying to find something on the spam. And it means that there's not going to be a free kill, at least. Like, I genuinely prefer them just trying to play this retake as a squad rather than just every time playing it as a disadvantage.
I love how they're just playing Protect the President this game as well. Bone Cold's able to just stroll in once he's had the jet and the raise, the security guards, charge on 4, make sure everything is clear, and then in he strolls to merrily put down the plant. KC for yet another round here as well, are forced in towards Garage. They keep on sending 2 players in, and then they're always forced to fight their way back through. Navira finds at least one back. It's a small reprieve though. It's still a 4 versus 3.
Yeah, and they've barely taken any space. Finally making their way back through. Navira has managed to get one. Already looking to try and get onto the plant, hiding in the smoke. Navira might just have this kill for free, but they need to start getting on some form of defusal. The time just ticking away, and I think Navira's already had to make the call to just escape this one. Just that little bit too slow at getting anyone on the defusal and unable to clear out Heaven. I don't mind the change of strat, but unfortunately for them, it makes no difference at all.
Absolutely none. I mean, to some level, it's a change in strat, but others it's exactly the same as before. As mentioned, you have the Sky and the Rays hard forcing into Garage every single round, and I think Vitality have got the read on them here. Don't forget, they've seen this map be played so many times by KC. They've seen them lose it 3 times already, and it just feels like they found the answer and saying, well, look, if they want to force so hard into Garage, let's just send everyone in towards A. And because it's such a passive hold coming in on towards this site, they literally get to march in for free and get the spike down time and time again.
Well, I'm not blown away by the fact that Vitality are currently set up outside of A. Wow. Again, Paranoia through to take some heavy control.
Again, there's 3 again going towards Garage. It's so hard to get the read. I get it. The one round that you rotate over towards A, you'll have them go towards B. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But Vitality just seems so happy.
Oh, the flash didn't get him!
A little bit of a march up towards mid as well. And sure, screen connects onto the kill to Destrian.
Well, they know the Killjoys here. I think they're going to have a decent idea. The Viper's here as well. It's definitely not ideal on the weaponry front. Both of these players only having pistols slowed them a little bit, made them vulnerable, but XMS is now stuck in the site and they know exactly where he is. The hopes will be to just try and get out of here. A nice shot at least though. Again, one of the better scenarios we've seen for KC. A 3v3. While Scream's going to lead the charge back through.
Simply can do nothing about it as well. Sender's found himself with 3K in the round. Not wholly unexpected given KC were a little bit down on their money in this round and didn't come in with a full buy, but they're slowly starting to turn things back around. Sadly, Navira stepping forward for a 1v1. Same story for New Zera. Vitality continue the domination.
Yeah, it doesn't look like this is going to have any breaks. So the funny thing is, Bone Cold has a res there, but just doesn't want to risk being caught using it. And again, like I could be a little bit more forgivable in this round because the players trying to defend on that side of the map only had themselves pistols. Looked like a slightly closer round at least, but if that's the sort of storyline we're selling, we're in a very, very bad spot.
Right, well, this is the key one to look at now.
Is it?
If they get... No, this is the one, yeah. If XM... There's a reason behind this, I promise. now that XMS has got that ultimate online, I really want to see it get used. But the problem is, every single time he's based himself out towards B, the hitter's coming towards A.
He's going back towards a retake spot, which is the right thing to do with the lockdown.
Deploy it with the lockdown and retake. It's the one round where they've looked somewhat convincing. It's been off the back of the retake, as we saw. So for now, I like the fact that they're holding back a bit more defensively, concede the side control, and then look for the retake. Again, Thomas, what you called for earlier, we've only really seen it happen once.
Plant coming through. They also have Seekers, which again, you've got every single ult you could need for a retake. Showstopper's going to be used instantly, and well, there goes the lockdown.
Wow,
see you later.
Forget I said anything, Tom. It's all yours. It's an absolute bowl over again. All right, Shin, we've seen him have a 4K. Let's not even talk about that one. Twisting, closing things out. As I said, coming into it, that was the round for me. Let's see the lockdown retake come in, and no one there to protect it.
But that's the thing. I can't blame them for not protecting against the showstopper.
No.
Like it was the perfect ult counter.
Away.
I am a little bit surprised they don't try and place it a bit deeper, make it a bit more awkward for Malzy to try and actually get to it. Instead, you put it basically in a... He could have destroyed it from there. So I kind of wanted to see them at least go a little bit further, and then, well, you see, they knew they were going to have to push that because they put the wall down afterwards. They literally waited until they destroyed the lockdown, then put the wall down. It's almost like Vitality expected that play.
Flash coming on 3, spots out 3. So that read should come in once again. That there is another A push. Shock Horror coming in from Vitality. Most of the players from KC are already here, so maybe want to try and get stage a little bit more of an active defense, especially in towards tower. But sight, by the looks of it, already been taken over by the members of Vitality. Plant going down once again from Bone Cold.
Yeah, and I think this is the first time, which is kind of mind-blowing considering this is round 11, but this is the first time that there's actually a low purchase for KC. So although they managed to actually hold on to Heaven Control, which hasn't happened, I don't think it's going to matter. They just don't have the weaponry.
It's the caution as well from Destrian and Sender, holding so far back here, just protecting any bat plans coming on through, leaving the rest to focus entirely on towards spawn side. Screens is where the aggression was coming on through. They've got at least 1 kill coming in, but Sender, as mentioned, is doing a bit of work. He finds 3 for himself, but he was the one holding the flank. Now he's the one pulling off the flank. 3 fall down, 2 left standing. XMS at least gets 1. Now down to himself against 4. It's again going to go against them. It's 10-1 to Vitality. When does the slaughter end? Probably in about 3 rounds.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have to wait too long at this point. Like, this has been just destruction from start to finish. And I think that obviously when the initial plans coming into the season for Carmine Corp haven't worked, they've had to try and reinvent themselves in a week. And it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. Vitality have looked fantastic. I think it's going to be easy to sort of take away from their victory here, but they have just basically stepped on the throats of Carmine Corp, knowing where their weaknesses stand. They're going to go for an updraft to try and find a kill with this Bladestorm. Heaven is clear, so there's no one to be found. Only Shin playing from above.
Appreciate the attempt at the very least. This time around, 3 players stacked up, a whole ton of utility in place. It has not stopped Vitality so far. I love seeing the way they've held the site as well. There is smoke in towards Heaven, then challenging in towards screens, and then making the push come through. They've just had all the answers time and time again. This time around, at least forced back slightly with Sender going down, but far from the end of the world, as they're going to rotate off site here and make all of that utility
He waited on the flash. He waited so that it went off and didn't actually give any information. Still, though, it seems like New Zero is going to be checking this, not just giving it up for free, but it seems like they know he's there. And a chance for Twiston to get that opener. First time, of course, we're seeing the operator actually on either side, so it definitely is a change, but whether it matters or not is a different thing altogether.
TP coming out there, or the ultimate, just to check if anyone was in garage, and with the answer being no, they're going to stick here on A. Vitality with about 30 seconds to work with here. We've seen them kind of make a decision several times in this series between the 30 and 40 second mark, and sure enough, the players coming in. TP in towards backside, they know that now there is one there, but it's trying to find the others. They don't know about the Omen, that's a little bit too close. They get rid of one, and it feels like finally they force them back, but 2 kills come in.
It doesn't seem to matter.
No.
The clutch plays on the other side, spikes in an awkward spot, and Dastian, he was just looking to retrieve the spike, but he's going to kill off New Zero instead. KC have been a roster that have managed just 2 rounds of the last 2 attempts on this map. Right now, they're sat at 1, and honestly, they might be lucky to get to 2.
I mean, realistically, Vitality, they look for the pistol. They walk away the winner there. They combo into the second. It's series done and dusted. And KC, bless their poor souls, will have walked away with only 3 rounds.
It's one of those games as well, like if you're a Vitality fan, you're probably having a great time, but it just...
Yeah, it's your boys at their best, right?
It feels morbid on the other side of things, because it's just... Firstly, I feel like they've tried to bring the Viper in. Again, I think just the composition that's being run by Vitality, I don't think I've seen a single round where I can go, oh, the Viper util helped them. Because every single time they're just disrespecting it, pushing right through it. Again, it's a composition that has barely any flashes, so you go, okay, a Viper would actually be fairly good. You can't really pop yourself through. One paranoia, that's all it's taken. They're able to just get in almost for free, made it look very easy. And then Molzy and Twiston as this entry duo, well, if you're someone who tells me that duelists aren't really helping out, we could do better with other agents, well, look at what this team are able to do. I think the Killjoy, again, I feel like they've just disrespected every single piece of utility. The Nano Swarms, they've just run through them. Exhibit A, and it's like there's no backup plan. Every single time they go through the utility that's being put down. And that's the main issue I've had, is you've invested into this utility. You put that on the line to be what wins you the game. And unfortunately, Vitality just don't give a shit.
New Zero has just been not been present really for any of these rounds. I know you can look at the kill board and see he's 1 and 9 and go, yeah, of course he hasn't. It's more the utility, because I forget which game it was. My memory is terrible now past the age of 30, but looking back to a game we had a couple of days ago, we had a Jet who was constantly trying to charge into sight, and every single time there was Cypher traps going off, there was just everything to slow them down, impede them, and completely ruin any kind of pace that team had. Whereas here, as I think you've rightly touched on, they don't care about a Nano Swarm, they don't care about a Viper Molly, they're just charging on through with these 2 agents, and there is nothing that can be done by KC.
No, and it's a worry. Like, I think some of the rounds where they adapted to try and play retake looked better. Like, I'm not going to say they looked good, but they looked better.
I agree.
And I think that was an adaptation that just came a little bit too late. But yeah, the initial just like, okay, we're going to try and hold both sides of the map just didn't work. The aggression hasn't worked. It just seems like a bad time for Karmine Corp. And I'll be honest, I hope they're able to sort this in the coming weeks, but I have absolutely no faith that they're going to be able to turn this on the attacking side.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Yes. At 11-1, I think that's fair.
Well, they've got 2 rounds. That's the only margin that KC have got to play with here. We've seen teams having stronger performances this lose out, even with a 3 or 4 round, like, I guess, breathing space to play with. Starting their way in towards B, no real pace coming in to begin with, instead just opting for control of the orb and backing away.
I got the spike.
Yeah, passive hold. It's something that KC did with their previous comp. Slow rounds, trying to basically bait out aggression. And when you're up against a double duelist, it's expected. You're going to have one site which is anchored up by your Cypher. The other, most of the time, is going to be set up around that paranoia and basically using those duelists for the firefight. The thing is, they have managed to get mid for free. There is no one here. 4 players on that A site, a clear read coming through, and I can only imagine this is going to be a straight-up retake. Sender's only goal, get 1 kill. That's the aim here. Get 1 kill off any sort of trip, and well, the trip's already been destroyed.
More than no, because off towards the left and off towards the right. Enemies are everywhere. At the gates, he gets 1 to do 0 as well. Shiv finds 2, makes it 3rd as well. That's the kind of hold you want to get things moving. We said, was it repeatable? It's taken a while, but it has come back in. Bonecore's got to do it now against 3.
I don't think he's going to be able to stop them getting their 2nd round. That's something at least for Karmine Corp. And again, I have to say as well, going back to the beginning, talking about roles, I want to see Shin back on an initiator. I don't really care what it is, or even on a duelist. He definitely seems to be the man with the fragging power in this roster. They have won 2 rounds. One of them is this round, where he got a 3K. The other is a round he got a 4K.
Exactly.
I don't think the value's there on him on a Viper, but I definitely think that he has some ability.
Yes. It's often what we call hero rounds, right? Where a player's popping off and dragging your team through a round that really look at it as like a game of chess. When it comes down to the strategy, you're not walking away the winner. So for me, it's got to come from more players than just the one. It's got to come down to the strategy as well. And that was a nice slow round up through mid that clearly Vitality didn't expect. But then we saw them push mid once in that entire first half. It was always direct towards B, but more often than not, was direct into A.
Yeah, of course. Vitality at lock-in were known for their second rounds. These pistols were ever deadly, so something you have to be careful about. Nice shots from XMS. Maybe starting to wake up a little bit on this attack side. I feel like he was dealt a harsh hand when it came to the first half, having to be that solo defender in most cases and being isolated by a very fast-paced double duelist. But now, he'll probably still be playing solo in a lot of rounds, but more chances for him to try and find that space.
The raise stayed up and towards heaven. Trying to force the Cypher away, and sure enough, runs straight back into the line of sight there as well. Oh, that was messy for a few seconds. Shin, after we just piled so much praise on him, almost whiffs out big time, but Twiston, last left alive, and I think Vitality know that it's got to come in this next round.
Of course, the goal here for Twiston is just kill as many people as possible on the way out. The thing is, the rest of the team have already exited in the other direction, and Navira is going to keep that one nice and squeaky clean. Now, already, a couple of rifles, XMS, I will expect him to buy up another one as well. Like, you cannot play this as a traditional bonus round just because of how many rounds you have left to play with. But this is definitely going to be where the going gets a bit tougher, as rifles will now be up for Vitality as well.
It kind of makes you think back to our game from yesterday, Fnatic against Liquid. You know, we saw absolute domination from Fnatic in the first half of Lotus. And then to be fair to Liquid, we even said, okay, you got 6 rounds on the board, you bounce back a little bit, you put up a fight and showed that actually it wasn't completely down to the team mismatch, that it was just that Fnatic were that little bit better. Well, a little bit, maybe quite by some margin is probably the better way to look at it, but at least showed they had something about them. I think for KC, if nothing else, many probably feeling at this point they can't win the map, but to get a few rounds on the board and still show there's some fight in them, that would feel like a win in itself. But it's mostly to start things off.
Not the start they were looking for either. Early kill coming up. Contact play from Halsey, and even trying to kill off anybody attempting to take that orb. Of course, in terms of ultimate, Shin is the man who's not far away. Getting that Viper's Pit would definitely set them up if they can get into an afterplan. They are slowly taking themselves some mid-control. However, there are rotations coming in thick and fast in towards this B site.
There we go, playing on flash as well, straight in towards deep side as well. They know about the one up close as well. The omen that I'm worried about for a few seconds, it's Destry up close and he cannot win out the gunfight. Scream finds his man, they're on the side as well. Down goes the Spike, and once again, KC are in a numbers advantage.
I like this. Look to try and confirm this round. You got a long build back up using that Viper's Pit. Flashes going out as well. Now, they are all somewhat isolated into this corner. It gives some opportunities for spams to come through, the counters being attempted, and Twiston just watching, waiting to see if anybody attempts to play outside of the pit. Instead, they are all somewhat trapped in towards this corner. It might just be an attempt to try and lock them in towards the end, but instead, the double swing out works wonderfully. And now Sender, last man standing. A Spectre probably not going to help him out too much, and again, he might just want to try and kill them all off.
Flash comes out as well, and there we go, Nu0 on the swing. For a second, thought he might miss it, but they find it in KC. A little bit of life being breathed back into the team here, some good attacks coming out.
Yeah, no, I like the split in towards the B site. The pace of it was good as well, decent trading. And obviously, I am actually quite happy they just used the Viper's Pit to confirm the round. Yeah. Like, that was the main thing. Like, Shin starting to really build up a little bit, and Scream finding a multi-frag, which, again, it's been a quieter game from him so far. If he can come online, maybe there's a difference, but we have been waiting for that over the last few weeks.
All right. Can they keep the momentum going? This round, you'd expect so. Vitality, absolutely broke. Coming out with shorties, sheriffs, you name it. It's Scream to start things off and taking a little bit out of the Vitality playbook here on a booster in towards site. They've rapidly got themselves on A here and are looking to march on in and get this fight down early.
Yeah, not really expecting much from this point onwards. Operator up, Scream just farming up those frags. Already got the showstopper online for the next round, and he definitely seems to be building in confidence. A complete farm up and even looking for the ace. Destrian is in point. Are his team going to give him anything? No, XMS wants to pad his stats himself. Probably better for the orbs as well, you know, if you're really going to go deep into it, although I'm sure many, including myself, wanted the ace. And actually, you know what? Vitality, 4 rounds lost in a row, they're going to take a pause. I don't mind this at all.
No. I think at this point, it's less even about things going horrifically wrong. They're losing out a good few gunfights that arguably they can win. And I think about when we look down to the Omen playing on the A side, and we had the Sky Flash go over the top, didn't connect onto the players, still Destrian whiffed a couple of key shots that maybe would have found a kill and made things a little bit easy for Vitality. For me, it's about breaking that momentum, though, taking the pause and just getting Casey off the game for 45 seconds or so.
Yeah, I definitely think as well, like players like Screen, for example, I think Shin falls into that bracket. They're definitely, once they get rolling, they're very difficult to stop.
Absolutely.
They've got some talent, there's no doubt about it. It just hasn't been showcased so much over the last few weeks. So I think just denying that early, of course, the driver's seat still firmly sat with the cheeks of Vitality, but they're now just going to take a moment. Of course, this is where you're actually going to see the operator come in for Twiston as well. We saw how much of a game changer that was when it came to Ascent, how dominant he was in a lot of those early duels.
It kind of broke apart when the B and the I started clapping.
Look, we don't criticize. I'm not able to build a Vitality out of letters, all right? So
Just you can't spell, Tom.
that's true. Vitly.
You mold instead.
Vitly, yeah.
Vitly. In that case, it was just Tally, I think. And the rounds have tallied up for KC. Maybe after this timeout, we see a little bit of change coming in, though. KC going to be on their guard, no doubt. You can already see that actually being shown. A little slow start here. 3 off towards B. 2 out towards A, just feeling out any craziness from Vitality. I believe it was Minnie who mentioned this as well, that sometimes you just got to say, look, you're going to see some weirdness come out in this next round. They've had the timeout. Take it slow, feel them out, and respond to what they bring.
An audacious angle from Twiston. And he is spot on where they're going. He might be in a little bit of trouble. Showstopper is available for Scream. Now, bear in mind, I won't forget him picking him out of the air the last time he tried to pop this. And I can only assume there's going to be some form of utility coming around the other side, maybe just to try and bait that shot out and allow Scream to take that control.
Out, sees the man as well, going to duck straight out. Showstopper comes on through, going to find absolutely no one, but Shin has got the entry, and that's exactly what they were looking for. They see the back of the cape, but it's Screen popping off. Twiston bringing him down in response. 3 still left for Vitality here, but as we mentioned already, the momentum just keeps on rolling forwards. And a bit of a rotate coming in for Vitality. Bone Cold holding firm, but there we go. Navira's at the very back and gets the response. It's op versus op, it's 2 versus 3. They're going to find one for themselves. A swing comes in, and it's literal trades back and forth. XMS has got a hold. Dashes in. What are you doing, my man? Gets just out of it and swings in. XMS puts him in the dirt, and they hold on, bringing us up to 6 and keeping that post-timeout win going.
I'm curious if that was what he meant to do.
I don't think so.
It was such a bold attempt.
That looked like a man in panic.
Oh, definitely goes a bit wrong. And KC, they continue to climb back up. Just good utility usage on the entry, but also, again, just Shin finding that opening pick and then just trading out from there onwards.
Definitely. Either that, or it's more when he stepped out, he was like, oh God, I've made a terrible life decision. Get me out.
Well, he's gone from having an operator in one round to a Bucky in the next, but he does have a Blade Storm behind it.
That's exactly it, right?
It definitely seems a bit madness, but he is one of the maestros of the shotgun, someone who rates it highly. And although there's some financial constraints in this round, just look at the ultimates that are available right now. Having that Blade Storm and Showstopper one off a res as well, they are definitely dominating in that department.
They've basically got everything they need here for a full buy, but it's Screen once again. Warmed into it these last 5 rounds, really starting to feel himself.
Yeah.
Instead of being offline, maybe not the ultimate you're looking at to say that's the big impact here. Really looking at the Showstopper being the one, especially if KC are all looking to bunch up inside a garage. But they're going to move things out towards mid instead here. Slow walk up. Twiston, the difference maker, finds one and dashes away. Immediately pushed up by the last 2, but he's way out of dodge.
Yeah, and there's multiple players ready and waiting on this side of the map. Heaven not really being covered at the moment, but Twiston's going to try and thread that needle. Showstopper still available if they want it. And in fact, KC are going to start doubling back towards this A side, maybe expecting that this is a stack. Destrin is going to be hearing everything. Has the paranoia available and could cause them some serious issues. They're not checking this angle right now. It should be for free. No. The Omen strikes again. And now with 15 seconds, they got to go. They've just got to save. There's no chance of them winning this round. Just fade away and hold on to the guns.
10 seconds
They should get away with this as well as they're not being challenged. I say that. You got Molsey on the walk around. Also Desha on the other side, looking to somewhat pincer, and then they'll realise that they've got the Viper hanging at the bottom. Are they going to bother trying to go for this? It feels good to get rid of the op. It's Molsey to pull down. They hold on at least for now. There's the second one, and now the op's gone.
Yeah, they removed all of the weaponry. I don't think it's going to impact too much for Carmine Corp. They got plenty of finances, and of course, they now have to win 6 in a row anyway. So it's not like they're going to get reset at any point in terms of those financial constraints. Just good work, though. Good initial read, Twiston doing well off the back of it, and then just the patience. This is the thing I love about Deathstream. So patient, ready for those steps to come through, not rotating back, completely isolated, and he gets both the frags needed of him. Easy pickings in the end, and now just one needed from Vitality. What seemed inevitable in the first half, and a slight fake comeback it seems. 6 more in a row needed, and oh, that's not gone to plan for Scream. He is just about alive.
Bit of healer coming in for the Sky as well, but again, I can't ignore on the other side those 3 ultimates, potentially almost 4, that for all intents and purposes would make this into a 6 versus 5 once they got the res online. KC again taking it a bit slow, just feeling out what's coming out of Vitality. They know there are no more missteps allowed. They have to make this work for 6 rounds in a row.
Oh, Moz is going to peek as they're spamming the wall, but Nuzera guarding, patient from XMS, catching them on this aggression. Bone Cold, if he can get this kill, he actually has the res and brings it back into that 4v4 scenario. Spike still tap back as well. That's a bigger problem, and Destrian again! He always seems to be in the backlines, always seems to catch them with their pants down. And they now might know that there's a player still lurking around.
I think it was such a good shout as well. Screaming New Zero really wanted to get the pinch onto Garage and force the defenders to the other side of the map, but there was the backstab coming in. A little bit of an overcommit, and it might just prove to be absolutely fatal.
He's having to go the long way. They were watching and would have caught the man with the spike. 20 seconds left as they look to make the move and just almost give it to him as a freebie. It's left to Navera trying to clutch this out. 1 versus 4, shot missed, and it's game over. Vitality, just like many before them, run through Carmine Corp. And although again there was some false hope going into that second half, it is a bleak, bleak day for Carmine Corp fans.
As so many have proven to be, unfortunately. I mean, for me, we saw KC starting to bounce back into it. We saw some good rounds. The focus, the determination to hit site hard and fast and leave Vitality really paid off. But in that last round there especially, just a little bit of an overcommit, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think as well, it just goes back to that defensive side. Like, it didn't seem like they had just a good hold over either of the sites. The aggression never seemed to catch anyone on the Vitality side, and the actual sort of strength of Vitality was just getting those openers time and time again. It was so clean from them.
So one of those that I'm thinking now, what is next for KC? They're coming up against some big teams, they're coming up against some not so big teams, but things are still working against them.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the thing, they've tried different comps, they've tried to mix things up here, and it's still just not working. What is the answer for KC? And I mean, at this point, they pay you good money to give them the answer, I think, Tom.
I think that's the million-dollar question for them. Honestly, I think that, firstly, like, getting back to the point where they sort of do have Scream playing that duelist more. Obviously, we're gonna see mostly the highlights from Team Vitality here in the Prime Gaming match highlights. Yeah, but the thing is, I think him getting back to duelist, basing the comps around him, I don't think is a bad idea. I'd like to see Shin back over to an initiator. I don't think the double controllers are really working out for them. I also don't really see the value of having Navira on the controller. I don't think it makes sense when it basically relies on that second controller too much. I'd like to see, again, Nuzera back into a more supportive role and then give a bit more freedom to Shin. I think he's a talented individual. I'll be honest, though, today, I don't think it mattered when it came down to compositions. I think they just got diffed. This Vitality roster is one to sing and dance about. They've got fantastic support players, ones that can even carry you through a map in the form of Destrian. Even with minute amounts of utility, they cause so many issues to every single hold, especially when it came down to this map. Again, I find myself thoroughly impressed with the way this team sets up. And of course, yeah, sure, it's easy to sit there and harp on the way that Carmine Corp play, but they came up against a formidable opponent today, and the better team won.
Absolutely, and for me, double duelist on that second map, just showing that breakneck pace as well that KC just simply weren't able to deal with. A little bit when it came down to the agent selector thing and the difference and having no tools to slow it down. But for me, if nothing else, it does show the teams, if you're taking Vitality to split, or if they're taking you there, be mindful.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's the thing. This is now a map that I think for KC have to almost avoid like the plague. I don't mind them trying to switch things up, but that's the main thing. I think they just need to find themselves a home map. They don't have one. They picked into a map and they lost worse than the one that was chosen against them.
The battle is even prior today, their highest round win rate was on Icebox. That's disappearing soon. Do you really want to build your legacy on that map? it's just not the place to go. It's dire times for KC overall. Hopefully, they can bring things back. But let's go out to a break. When we come back, post-plan awaits.
Oh! Bro, I'm panicking! Oh! Stop saving, boys! Come on! Oh! Where's the luck? Nice! Let's go.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Zero distraction. Zero doubt. Zero opposition.
What? What is this from EA? He is currently unstoppable. He is just a consistent demon. El Diablo.
Hey guys, it's EA. Welcome to my course on optimal Valorant training. I'm going to be demonstrating now some angle clearing. I'll slowly come around the corner as well, making sure no one's on these off angles.